Hello students, this is part 1 to explain how to do the Chemistry Unit 1 project, the food project. So there are a lot of different places you can find it. You can find it from the content area, from the class plan, from the class announcements. But as always, the easiest way to find everything is always from your grades tab because everything is in your grades tab. So that's where we're going to go now. We're going to go ahead and scroll down and you will see right here the Chemistry Unit 1 food templates. There's both a Google Slides version and a PowerPoint version. I highly recommend using the Google Slides version because it does save your work automatically, which is super helpful so that you don't lose your work. But obviously, if you would prefer, you can still also use the PowerPoint version. In order to use the Google Slides version, you need to have a personal Google account. The school account does not work from past experience. So if you want to make a Google account, you can just go to accounts.google.com/sign up. Again, you can use a Google account that you've already created, but if you haven't created one, again, you can go to this website to create one. If you have a friend or a parent or someone whose Google account you have permission to use, you can also use their Google account. Just don't forget how to log into theirs. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use the Google account, the Google Slides version, because again, this is the one that I prefer. Once you've started your project, if you need to find it again, you can go to the Google folder, which the link is right down here. And obviously, if you use the PowerPoint version, it should be saved to your computer, so just open it up on your computer. But let's go ahead and actually start it. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here. You'll see that a message pops up here. Again, you do need to already be logged into Google, into your Google account in order for this to work. Okay. Obviously, again, you can still use the PowerPoint version if you would like to. But anyways, once you're here, it's going to go ahead and ask if you want to make a copy, and obviously go ahead and you say yes, click on that and make a copy. And then you will be able to see the project. All right, so the first thing that you need to do here on slide number 1 is to type your name, right? So for example, I would type Mrs. Larkin, but obviously you should type your actual name here. All right, so type your name right down here and make sure that I know whose project this is. Then taking a look here, I have a couple of reference slides throughout this project. Reference slides, you don't need to do anything on them. You only need to do things on the slides that have actual points. But the reference slides are super helpful. For example, you do need to know how to put a picture into this project. So I have explanations here of how you can get pictures from your phone onto your computer and into this project. So if you take a picture with your phone, some options are to, from your phone in an app, go ahead and upload it to a cloud, like the Google Drive app, Dropbox, Amazon Photos, iCloud, etc. And then once it's uploaded to that app, you can just log into that same cloud on your actual computer. That way you can find the picture. Another option is you can just text it to me. All right, so my phone number is here, 424-294-8688. Make sure to include your name so I know who to send it to. And then I'll email it to your school Insight email, which you can then access from your computer to put it into your project. Optionally, if you have email on your phone, you can email it to yourself. You does need to be a personal email. Your student email will not accept an email from your phone. So you can email it to your personal email and then access that again from your computer. Optional 4, you can also email it to me. So there are a lot of different ways to do this. You can email it to bfiorello-larkin@k12insightca.org, and then I'll just email it back again to your Insight email, at which point it will be able to you will be able to access it from your computer. So no excuses, everybody should be able to upload a picture. Alternatively, you can also scan the photo with your printer. The school does send printers with your computers and everything, so you can scan the photo with your printer onto your computer. Or you can also, if your computer has a webcam, which again, the school computers have webcams, you can go ahead and take a picture with your webcam of your food. So for either of these options, the photo will then just automatically be on your computer, so you don't have to go through this extra step. Once it is finally on your computer, you can then go ahead and get it into the project. So option number 1 is to copy paste it. So if you have it in a cloud, on your computer, or you have emailed it to yourself and it's on your computer, you can just right click it, right? So I can show you, for example, here, you can just right click it and you'll have the option to copy it. And then when you come into the project where you need to put your photo, you can right click and paste. All right, so again, sorry, here we go. Again, right click, copy, right click, paste. Okay, if it's actually saved as a file on your computer, you can just insert it as a file. So come up here to where it says insert right here. And then it says go to image, upload from computer. So image, upload from computer. Find your file, right? So let me go ahead and take a look at an example here. Find your file and then click on that and that'll put it in here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete this because I don't need it right now. Okay, so again, no excuses, but if you do need help, come to office hours. I'm happy to help you figure out how to put your picture into your project, because it is worth 11 points of your project, so it's impossible to get a perfect grade unless you actually do this slide. All right, so for this project, this is a food-based project, so what you need to do is you need to have a food that gets heated. That is the one requirement. No matter which option you choose down here, your food needs to be heated. All right, so no matter what, it needs to be heated. So you're going to explain what is your food. So just tell me what is it. That's super easy points here. And then you do need to insert a photo of your food here. Now this is really important. You do need to make sure that your name is handwritten on a piece of paper next to your food before you take the photo. The reason for this is so that I know it's not plagiarized. So that I know it is not plagiarized, meaning that you're not just pulling a picture from the computer, from the internet or from a friend or something. So make sure that your name is actually handwritten on a piece of paper next to your food before you take the photo. Now, options here, everybody should be able to do this, all right? It doesn't matter if you have any like food limitations at home, everybody should be somehow able to do this. If you still don't think any of these options will work for you, you need to contact me or come to office hours, and I'm happy to help you get it figured out. Okay, so the options are, my preference is for you to actually make your favorite recipe, because I would love to see what kind of food you like. So make your favorite recipe. Again, it does need to be a heated food, so food that gets heated up either in the oven, right? So either on the stove, oven, microwave, grill, etc. Needs to be something that gets cooked, heated. Okay. Option B is just to make a simple recipe. So a really great option is lots of students will either make ramen or mac and cheese. Again, both of these are things that get heated and they're very, very simple. Most people have access to ramen or mac and cheese. Option C is you don't actually have to make it. You just need to, again, make sure your name is written next to it. So it still needs to be your picture. Okay. So let me go ahead and emphasize that here. For option C, still needs to be your picture with your name handwritten next to it. Okay, so this option C is still an option though. It can be a food that's made for you by someone. So if your parents are the ones that do the cooking, you can just say, oh, I like this food for dinner or for lunch, and you can just write your name next to it, and that works as well. Or it can also be a purchased food. So if you buy a food from a restaurant that gets heated up, even if it's something like a burger, right, or like chicken nuggets, that's totally fine. Go ahead and take a picture of that, okay, with your name next to it. All right, and that's what you will be inserting here. So again, once you have right-clicked and copied it from your email or from the cloud, you can then right-click and paste it right in here. Otherwise, you can also click image, insert image, and upload from your computer like I showed you previously. Okay, so that's the first slide that you need to do. This is worth most of your points, or this is worth one of the most points of all of the slides. All right, so let's go ahead and then take a look at the 3 slides that you should be able to do today. So we have discussed by now the 4 states of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. We talked about how solids have definite shape and volume. They have low thermal energy, thermal meaning heat energy, and so they just, their particles vibrate in place, and they're vibrating so slowly you cannot see the motion with your naked eye. All right, so that's why they maintain their shape and their volume. So we talked about that. There's a description right here as well. Liquids, on the other hand, we talked about have definite volume meaning amount, but they have indefinite, or the ability to change, indefinite or changing shape. All right, and the reason for this is because they have kind of like medium thermal or heat energy. And so as a result, they are able to flow, their particles can flow past each other to the point where they will change shape to match the bottom of their container. They can't spread out throughout their entire container because, again, they still have a definite amount or volume, and so you can't change the amount of the liquid. Okay, now gases we talked about are extremely chaotic. So gases are the most chaotic. They have indefinite or changing shape and volume. So both of these can actually change, can both change in terms of the amount of space they take up as well as its actual shape, to the point where it will actually spread out like indefinitely or forever until it fills the entire container / escapes the container. Okay, so remember, they're very chaotic. And again, the reason they're chaotic is because they have the most thermal or heat energy, and so their particles can move very rapidly. Okay, we also then talked about plasma, although this project here doesn't really address plasma very much. But plasma, we mentioned, is similar to gas, but because it has more thermal or heat energy, the electrons, which are charges, so the negatively charged electrons can begin to move. All right, and that means that these plasma can actually be controlled with electricity. So again, very similar to gases. The main difference here, though, is that you can actually control it with electricity. I recommend take a picture of this slide or remember this slide, because you will need to actually know these definitions for the next 3 slides. So take a picture of this or pause the video, take note of these definitions, because you're going to need them for the next few slides. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clear this out and keep on moving. Okay, so slide number 6 is worth 9 points. It says, what part of your project's food is a solid? So it's important, again, all of these different foods that I asked you to do, of like of the fact that they're getting heated, you do end up with all of these different types. All right, so solid could be anything like noodles, or it could be like a seasoning, or it could be garlic, onions, meat, right? So there are many different things that are considered solid. Again, the main thing of a solid, we just went over those definitions, is that it keeps its shape. So definite shape, keeps its shape, and keeps its volume, right? And so again, another way to think about it is the particles stay in place. Okay, so that's the definition that we're going to need here. So taking a look here, again, what part of your project's food is a solid? Again, anything that keeps its shape, that keeps its volume, where the particles are staying in place, they're not just like flowing around. All of those things are considered solids. So you're going to tell me what part of your food is a solid. All right, again, be creative with this. You don't have to choose these ones that I gave you. And then explain that based on the definition of a solid, which I just defined for you in multiple ways. So all of those definitions we just went over, including this definition right here, and the other definition we went over on the previous slide, that's how you should explain how you know that this is a solid. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next slide, which I'm sure you guessed is then taking a look at the liquid phase. So liquid phase, this is going to be things like if you have any water in your food or oil in your food, or if you have anything like a broth. Even there's in general, even in solid food, there's some water, right? So even in solid parts of your food, there is some water. So for example, there's water in carrots or onions, etc. Okay, so you need to figure out what liquid is in your food. Again, everybody should be able to answer this, okay? And you want to be able to explain how do you know that this liquid is in your food. Again, definition of the liquid that we've been talking about is that it has definite volume, but ability to change shape. And the reason for this is because the particles can flow past each other, right? They have more energy, so they can actually flow past each other. So you should be able to explain that based on this definition. Again, you can also refer back to the definition that we went over on slide 5, but you do need to include the definition of a liquid here in order to explain how you know that this part of your food is a liquid. Okay, if you have trouble figuring out what your solid is, what your liquid is, and eventually what your gas is, you need to come to office hours. There's very rarely been a food where I've had a hard time coming up with a response. So if you have trouble identifying your solid, liquid, or gas, go to office hours. All right, very, very important. Okay, so let me go ahead and then keep on going. Let's talk a little bit about the gaseous state. So taking a look here, gaseous state, what part of your food is a gas, and how do you know this? So remember, gaseous state, we're talking about when particles begin to move chaotically, right? So when we talk about gases, they will spread out indefinitely, which means that they can change volume and shape, right? And the reason for this is because their particles are chaotic. They have so much energy that their particles are chaotic. And so most of you will actually have very similar gases. And that will actually be due to the fact that your food is heated. So as mentioned on slide number 4, your food does need to be heated. And the main reason for this is because that heating actually causes a gas to occur. Specifically, it causes water to evaporate. And as water evaporates, the steam from the water becomes gaseous water. That is going to be a gas. All right, so when we talk about that, sorry, let me go ahead and just get rid of this part right here. Okay, there we go. All right, so what part of your food is a gas? Again, most of you will have a similar answer. So most of you will have the steam from the water being heated. Again, your food must be heated. Okay, and so that will be the answer for most of you. Option number 2 is that if you have like a gas stove or a gas grill, etc., or a gas oven, etc., that's actually a chemical. All right, that's actually a gas. So let me go ahead and get this up here. So for example, if you have a gas stove, that's powered by something that is called natural gas, which again is obviously a gas. That's like if you have to do the like click, click, click on your stove before it starts, then that's an indicator that you probably have a gas stove. Or for like a gas grill, this is usually powered by propane gas. So you can always ask your parents if they have better information on what type of gas your stove or grill is using. But in general, gas stoves will use natural gas and your gas grill will use propane gas, both of which are examples of gases. All right, so that is going to be, most of you will have that same answer. And again, you need to be able to explain how you know that based on our definition of a gas. Again, include that definition of a gas, and you can also go back to the notes that we did on slide number 5. All right, so at this point, that's all you need to be able to do is to be able to do slides 1 through 8. Feel free, if you're curious, to take a look at the other slides, but for now, again, Part 1, we're just working on slides 1 through 8, of which there's really only 4 slides you need to fill in, right? So there's really only 4 slides for today. Thank you so much. If you need help, please come on over to office hours, and I am happy to help you. See you all later.